Well, hello and welcome. Robyn here. I'm here with Colleen.
Hi, everyone.
And we're really excited to be here today. We're here with friend, colleague, wonderful music. Just a person of many, many talents, Kris Valentine.
Hello, and thanks for having me.
Oh,
I'm so honored to be with y'all.
We're really excited to have you and to spend this time with you. It's going to be a fun one today. So just a couple of announcements. I actually think when this is released, we won't have classes for a little while, Colleen. So I think that our next classes, we should probably know this a little better and maybe do this more officially. It's on our list.
Sometime in August.
It's in August.
Reiki Lifestyle, you'll find it.
Just when we are releasing versus when we have classes, it should be more organized about that. Anyways, we teach human Reiki classes, animal Reiki classes, basically every other month for each one. And we have a free distance Reiki share every Tuesday morning at 9:30 a.m. That you can come and join at any level, any lineage. And then we will be presenting at the Sedona retreat where we will see you, Kris, this year. You're presenting there, right?
I am so excited. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be so much fun. I can't wait.
Yes.
And then, Colleen, you're teaching with William Rand in November, Karuna 7-day, right?
Karuna Reiki 7-day class with William in Hana, Hawaii. And it's a Karuna Reiki class.
And that you can find at reiki.org, but everything else with Colleen and I, you can find at Reiki Lifestyle. So I want to get into our guest today. So Kris Valentine, PT, CWS, CLT, and ICRT licensed Reiki master teacher. ICRT stands for International Center for Reiki Training. Is here with us today is our guest. She is a physical therapist, a certified wound specialist, a certified lymphedema. Did I say that correctly? Lymphedema therapist that took her first Reiki class in September of 2010. She continued with her Reiki education that eventually became a licensed Reiki master teacher with the ICRT in November of 2021. Kris's mission is to restore the energetic balance of life to create increased wellness, happiness, peace, and prosperity by cultivating a holistic, healing, therapeutic, and educational space. Recently, Kris had the opportunity to explore how Reiki can spark your creativity by diving into the areas of life that normally would seem unattainable, or perhaps an area of life that you may think has passed you by. Ooh, I love that. By adding Reiki into that area, you never know what path you may end up in life. You can find her at krisdvalentine.com, and Kris is with a K, so it's KRIS, dvalentine.com. Email is krisdvalentine@gmail.com. And then she's on Instagram and Facebook. You can find her Kris D. Valentine, essentially. She's got some underscores, and we'll, again, also always put this in the show notes. And then she's also on TikTok as Kris D. Valentine.
Yep.
Well, welcome, Kris.
Yay. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad to be here. I know when you were talking about when was my first class, I thought, gosh, that's almost, that was 13 years ago now.
I know. 2010, I'm pretty sure was only 2 years ago. And it's no,
I know, right?
Time ago.
It was a lifetime, and it does seem like it was yesterday, right?
So true.
So much has happened.
Well, Kris, I first want to start off with your story, but then we started kind of talking about something really interesting that I said, wait, let's hold this till we start the recording before. So let's start off with your story. Then I kind of want to talk about some of that sound healing piece, music. Okay. You were saying each song has a story.
Oh, yeah. So you want me to tell you how I got into Reiki?
Yeah, because you're a physical therapist. So I know we have a lot of listeners that would love to hear about that aspect of your practice and your life and how that all works together.
Well, so I tell my students, I am a scientific Reiki practitioner. And I'm also, the other thing that I always say to my students is I'm probably your most skeptical Reiki practitioner out there. I really am. Because here's how it started for me. Really, what started was, or what was happening at that time, I was taking another class, and the class was transformational education. How do you create what you want to create out and put it out in your life, right? So my homework was go do something you haven't done before. And I thought, okay, we were staying in Galveston, Texas. There's an old bookstore there called The Witchery. Well, I've been in, like holistic bookstores before, but there happened to be a psychic medium there. And I thought, well, I haven't done that before. So I went and I got a reading, and I was carrying around a book about Reiki. And I said to her, I think I'm supposed to learn about this. And she said, why, yes, you are. And so that was a very easy answer. And she had said so many other things that were right on target, that I went home and Googled Reiki. And literally the next weekend there was a class. And that was with Karen Harrison, another one of our licensed Reiki master teachers, right? The other thing that happened, though, that was really interesting was at first I tried to sign up for the class. So what you have to know is I didn't read the book. I didn't know what Reiki was. I had no idea what Reiki was when I signed up. Hadn't even had a Reiki session. But my class that I was taking, the other class, was creating what you wanted in your life. And we were working on being intentional. Mm-hmm. So what you should know is I went to sign up and I couldn't. It was full. I called Karen and I said, I don't know why I can't get in your class. And she said, I'm so sorry, it's full. Put down a deposit. We'll get you in the next one. So I thought, well, I'm being intentional. I might as well just pay for this whole thing. I was going to do that anyways. She called me the next day and said, I don't know what you did, but now you're in the class. Somebody dropped out. And honestly, I was like, I don't know what I did either.
All of this work anyway.
I know. What is this? So to be quite honest with you, I took my first Reiki class, not even knowing what it was, I thought I was I tell my students, I thought I was in perhaps like cranial sacral class. I had no idea. And so I was close. I remember having a conversation with Karen about, we use all of this equipment in the world of physical therapy. You're telling me I can put out energy. Why do I need my equipment? She's like, no, you need to know how to channel. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And I stayed the whole weekend, and it opened up a whole world to me. I did start, I would say my intention in the beginning was to go see and go find out. And then when I found out it was about health and wellness, I'm like, well, let me see if there's another modality that I can help my patients. And yes, there is. And to be honest with you, my whole life changed from that moment on. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I really thought I was going for my patients, but really what I ended up going to this class for was myself. Now, granted, have I worked with other people in Reiki? Oh yeah, I've taught and I've done a lot of sessions over the years. But probably the most interesting thing is I never really thought my life would take this turn for the better. I didn't know I needed it. I didn't know I needed it, didn't know I wanted it, didn't know how incredibly useful it has been for the last 10 years of my life. And really in the last probably 3 years with COVID. So.
Wow, that's incredible. And you just said yes. That's what I love about it, and didn't know where it was leading you.
I had no idea. Well, then I got irritated because I didn't know what I was doing. And then, and I was like, well, gosh darn it, you paid for this class. And you're not
the scientist comes out.
Yeah. Because I never meditated before either.
Yeah.
Never done any of that. I sure did like my crystals, but I always thought that was like, oh, that's a rock. It's pretty. Mm-hmm. But yeah. And so my whole life changed. Out of doing that. Yeah.
And fast forward 13 years, and you are, is that about right? You're a licensed Reiki master teacher now.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I know. Over the years, I started, basically my journey was I started teaching and I taught to other physical therapists for a while, and it was going as it was going. And then I came to a Reiki retreat, and I met so many other Reiki, licensed Reiki master teachers, that I thought I need to join this tribe of amazing people, you know? And so I joined, and I joined in 2018, I think it was. Yeah. And then 2019, it's going into my year of, because, it really did take me 3 years to complete the program. So I say every year kind of had a different energy for me. So 2019 into 2020 was when I started my Reiki master year. And that's when the pandemic hit. And I was on a track for I had pretty much my own independent business, where I don't want to give up physical therapy. I really enjoy what I do. And I actually incorporate a lot of what I do with Reiki into my practice. Just, when they hire me as a physical therapist, I'm going to do physical therapy, but there's certain principles that we can use with Reiki to help our patients as well, right? So in the beginning of the pandemic, my independent practice with physical therapy pretty much folded because of there wasn't as much availability. We really didn't know how we were going to use physical therapists at first. Yeah. Now, granted, as we went with the pandemic, we became essential, absolutely essential. Yeah. And so in the beginning, for about 2 months, I was out of work. And so what happened was I really, you know how you have those conversations with yourself, self-chastising conversations of, well, all these principles about Reiki. When are you going to use them and just walk the walk, live the life, do what you say you taught everybody else to do? When are you going to do that? Because I was having a very hard time being still. I'm a doer. I'm a person that has to do. In Reiki, there's stillness and listening, right? Stillness and listening, and then taking action. So what happened with me was, I like how you were saying, I just said yes to being in the class, because I am highly skeptical. I usually have that whole analytical of, is this good? Is this bad? Should we do this? Should we not do this? What I noticed was many times when I would go into thinking or self-meditation or just standing still in the moment, I would notice that I have my hands in gasho. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll sit in the hallway like this.
Yeah. So for those that are listening or may not know, gasho is the first pillar of Reiki, and it is two hands coming together at your heart, kind of like a prayer position. So
right. Yeah. So I'll do this a lot, thinking. And so what I started to notice, because, when we teach Reiki, we also teach about Biosen scanning and scanning your client on when to and where to start Reiki. And a lot of times when we do that, we'll have a little prayer that we might say in the beginning. There's a prayer. And I never even prayed before I took my Reiki class, really. Yeah. And so my prayer is just really fast and to the point. Thank you for the opportunity to help someone. And then up to your, third eye, show me where to go. So I was like, okay, I'm out of work. Thank you for the opportunity to help someone. Show me where to go. And my phone started ringing. And I just said yes. And so, because I literally was having a hard time not working, I just started saying yes. And what happened was I got a contract, and then I got a full-time job, and it was a full-time job working on the COVID halls, which was terrifying for a little while, because we didn't know what we were doing. Well, we knew what we were doing. We were helping people, and we didn't know where the virus was going. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know what was going on in general in the world. We just didn't know. We knew how to help people, but we didn't know where everything else was going. And we didn't know if we were safe. Yeah. So I started using my Reiki. And then the other thing that was going on in that moment for me was I was in the middle of my Reiki master year in the student teacher mentorship program. And given my normal way of being, I'm really, really glad that I was in that program at that time. I might have quit out of the fear conversation. Like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if it's safe to teach. I don't know how to teach online. Well, there's a lot of things I don't know how to do, and I can learn. And that is what the pandemic taught me. I can learn, and I can say yes. So what happened? Well, I was, my mentor, Lisa Star Anna, was having a conversation with me about, like, how was I going to continue to market? We couldn't meet. I was having like Reiki shares at my office. I was word of mouth a lot. I posted on Facebook and I posted on Instagram, but that was the extent of what I did. And I said, Lisa, all the other teachers, they have special things they do. I'm not special. I'm a physical therapist. We're scientific. I'm like, all that. So I was in the world of doubt. What am I going to do? I don't understand. She's like, well, Kris, what do you like to do? I'm like, well, I play music, but I don't see that happening, anything with Reiki there. So, when the pandemic was and we were in the middle of lockdown, what happened was, I had to figure out how to do a Reiki share or a Reiki experience online. And I wanted music in the background. And I remember I posted on our Facebook page, hey, you guys, to the other teachers, how do you put music in the background? And they're like, well, you have to use the royalty-free music. And I'm like, ooh, I don't like that music. I don't like that music. I'll just play in the background. Well, that started the whole thing of playing live music on social media. That was a little nerve-wracking. And so I decided I needed to learn how to record. And as I said before, I am not that tech savvy. I'm really not. I have a very good ear, but I'm not tech savvy. So what happened was I started with an external auditory recorder, and those things are very, very good. I was joking earlier with Colleen about, remember when we had the cassette recorder, you hit two buttons. Yeah. That was it,
Yeah.
So I started recording with that, and that's how the whole birth of these songs came about. And they, several people will ask me, how do you do that? Well, how do I do a 30-minute recording? Well, I usually have an idea, but what I do is I activate my Reiki for the melody. I might have voices in the background, but for the melody, I sit quietly, I ground myself, I activate my Reiki, and then I set a timer for 30 minutes. And that's all I do.
So it's completely channeled.
It's completely channeled.
Mm.
I know the melody is a non-looping melody that, especially with the piano music, I usually don't even have an idea what I played, but I don't really know what the whole song was. So I have to go back. I'll go back and listen to it. And now I've learned how to edit and that kind of thing. I mean, it's been a learning process. There's still a whole lot more to learn. People have whole 4-year degrees on this, or master's degrees, or PhDs in, sound editing and all of that. But this was my, my quick learner's guide from COVID and from working in. And I think it finally came to, how are you ultimately going to trust the universe? It's like, okay, universe, all right, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I trust you. I trust you. And that is what happened. I started writing songs about events that happened. My first recording was literally in my backyard with the cicadas,
cicadas there too, huh?
Oh yeah. In August of 2021. I started recording in the backyard. The song that I will play in a little bit, the one that's called Conversations, what that is about. We had a dear friend that passed away, and he was literally one of the best friends of my partner. And the conversation, like they would be on the telephone, and, so often. And what I always say about conversation is, there's one person talking, and then there's one person waiting to talk. One person talking, one person waiting to talk. And then as they start getting into the conversation, the melody blends. And so what's going on in that conversation, in that song called Conversations, is there's two different melodies, and they blend, and then they go apart again. Because frequently we're not always listening, And so what all of this showed, brought clarity to with me, would be that if we just sit still and listen, because that's really what the music is all about. It's just listening. So some of my songs are about piano, are piano music, and then some are nature songs, or songs with nature, because I'm very, very blessed to live in a neighborhood that has so many nature sounds, but I think they're always there. We just don't stop. We get so busy. There's a tremendous amount of birds in this neighborhood, so we have just a whole variety, along with there's a train that goes through my neighborhood too. So in one of my meditations, there actually is a train in the beginning. So just in the beginning, it kind of signifies new life, because I don't think you'd want a train in the middle of every meditation. So
not maybe everyone, but it's kind of intriguing. And just so the listeners know, we will be playing a couple of examples of her songs in a little bit. So you'll be able to kind of hear. So what you had said before that was really intriguing, that I'd like to hear about, is that the songs are stories.
They are stories.
You kind of talked a little bit about that with your partner and
your
conversation.
So the song Conversations, I told you what that one is about. There's another one called The Space in Between. And what that is about was when that same person I was telling you about that passed away, my partner had a dream where he came to her. And of course, he came to her on the phone. Oh. Just cracked me up. He's talking to her on the phone, and she said, "Well, where are you?" He goes, "Well, I'm waiting. I'm waiting to go to the next level." So he's at the space in between. And so that's what the song is about. So that was, most of these songs are about either a certain state. Like there's a song called Majestic Ocean Messengers. I got to go down to Galveston again. And if you've ever been to Texas, our beaches, we're not known for our beaches, right? However, this particular day, the beach was empty and it was a little overcast, and I had the beach to myself. And so just walking up and down the beach and hearing the birds, and then the waves coming in gently and back out again. And what does that melody sound like? And so that's what that is about. It's incredibly grounding just because of the water. And then there's the sand, that you're walking on. But yeah, so that's Majestic Ocean Messengers. The other thing that I started was I've had some people request that I write music for them. And the interesting thing is, they're both of the songs that were requests are up on my website. There's two that were actually dedications to people that passed away. And I mean, I guess given what I've done over the last few years, that's perfect, right? One was an individual, her nephew died from a fentanyl overdose. She's actually the one, that song is called Sunflower. She came to me with the complete story. She's like, okay, he was an outdoorsman. I want a day in the life of, what would the song sound like for a day in his life? And she's the one that has the train in the beginning of the song for the beginning of his life. And then we go through, what does a day sound like, all the way with the morning birds and crickets to the cicadas in the evening to what does nighttime sound like? I jokingly called it my kitchen sink of all sounds because I don't know. Yeah. Like 15 voices in there, for me being new to editing, that was a lot, but we had piano in there, we had mandolin in there, we had a drum for the forest, that kind of thing. And then one of our teachers came to me and asked for a song in dedication to her dog that passed away. So, and that's Phoebe's song. It's up on the website. So I was able to take Phoebe was a very loyal dog that was in Tracy Sullivan's life. And I was able to incorporate some of the voices from her recordings of Phoebe in the beginning of the song. And then what Phoebe liked to do was sit by the sound in where Tracy lives. And so I, again, was able to take that ocean sound and make it more quiet because, the sound is more gentle. And
you mean you're talking about an ocean sound, like Puget Sound. So people, because sound in two different capacities.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. Well, because I've been by the Northeast Sound. I've been there before, but how do I incorporate that into something that's actually recorded in Texas? Is to turn the volume down, make it more gentle, because I can't slow the waves down, but I can turn the volume down. Yeah. So it's I would have never thought that I would be doing that. In fact, when I said that I thought that this portion of my life had passed me by, I played music when I was a kid, but not like this. When I opened myself up to trust, my listening got better. In 2018, or was it 19? It was 19. In 2019, when we went to the Reiki retreat, and I had the opportunity to play with Pam and Dawn that one time, I was so afraid and nervous. It was a blast. I had so much fun. And I'm so grateful for that because it started me playing again. But had it not been everything we went through with COVID, I don't know if I would have had literally the ability to stand up in 2000. What was it? It was 2022 when we went back and to play with Dawn. I don't think I would have been able to do that because of my fear.
Yeah.
And also during the gratitude ceremony with me.
I know. Wasn't that awesome?
It was.
Yeah. So it's Reiki has just blessed me with that. I don't think that would have ever happened. And yeah, no, that's what I love to do. I could talk about this for hours. You probably don't want me to talk for hours, but no, I could,
We're glad you're talking. Sharing your story and the story about the song.
We like to talk. I don't know if you know this, Kris.
I do know.
Also, but having conversations with people, because this is just, it's amazing to hear you. It's like the song tells a story, and at the same time, there's a heartbeat that you are the heart of the song. The heartbeat of the song is, and I just don't even mean audibly. It's like the heart of the song is what you're channeling, which, it's beautiful.
Well, thank you. You just reminded me, I had this, unfortunately, I know the pandemic was hard on all of us in many different levels, but I had a friend, who was another dear friend, passed away. The gentleman from Conversations was, he's actually a physician that passed away from COVID. Mm-hmm. But one of my other best friends passed away, who he was my dog walker for years, right? And in the beginning, when I was learning about Reiki, share, or trade, not share. We'd trade services. He'd walk my dog. I do Reiki with him. And so there's another song called Guardians of Good. And his whole Reiki vision is that song. As what he would, and I know he wouldn't mind me sharing. Plus he passed away. He did not pass away from COVID, but he passed away suddenly. And so he's like in the whole mix of the last 3 years. It's like, holy smokes, right? But his Reiki vision was literally a line between good and bad. There's a knight on a white horse guarding the line between good and bad. And that was his story. And that's why it's called Guardians of Good. He's like, only the good can get in this side. And that was his story. So that is where that song came from. I know I don't always want to the songs are not all about death, but they're more about living. And what is the melody of their life? If I could be so honored as to carry forward that tune, what was the melody of their life, and what would that sound like?
Well, also being a dog walker, talk about a guardian of good.
I know.
Dogs, like
he was a dog walker. He had 1 million cats, not 1 million, but he had like 7 or 8. So he had a lot of cats too. And he just loved animals. He loved all living things. So yeah, that was my dedication to him. So it has literally changed my life. I was not doing anything like this before. I joined the ICRT before the pandemic, but I just think that Reiki got me through the whole, and then helped me grow in ways I would have never thought. I know I was going to tell you a little bit about I also had the growth of my, like the pendants that I wrap, those kind of things. That kind of came out of I wonder if I can do that. I wonder, because I got into a discussion with another person about how a certain thing should look and how like you should wrap certain things. And I was like, no, I don't like it that way. I wonder. And that's kind of what happened with the music. I wonder, what would that sound like? Or what would that look like? And so it got me back into playing. And so, I was showing you guys, I had a few examples. One of my favorite stones ever is I don't know if you can see that too well. That's a damberite. So damberite is supposed to resonate to the same frequency or close to, like a frequency of love or close to Reiki. I like it because of all the striations that it has and the angles. But let me show you.
And if you're just listening to this, she's holding up her wire wrapped crystal pendants, and crystal meaning like stone crystal pendants.
Yeah.
So you can go to her YouTube and see what she's shown in the video, but also, Kris, you sell them and people can see this way as well.
These are on my website.
Not YouTube.
Not YouTube, but website.
The website.
Yeah. This is one that's really, really popular.
Oh, yeah. Look at the color.
The Gaia stone.
It's Gaia stone. It's a green. It almost looks like
it's a green
clear malachite, or is it more of a teal color?
It is a green obsidian.
Obsidian. Oh, cool.
Green obsidian. I don't think I've ever even seen that before.
Hang on, I'll put this one down.
It's kind of an emerald green.
Yep. They'll heat up obsidian into all kinds of different colors. This is blue obsidian.
Oh.
So it is your lava stone. But this one is associated and called Gaia stone as well. It's really, really popular.
I can see why. It's a beautiful stone.
Intriguing.
It's emerald green for those who are just listening and not watching this on YouTube. One was emerald green, and the other one she was showing was kind of a sapphire blue.
Yeah, blue.
Deep blue. The Gaia stone is real popular. And then, I did wrap my gratitude ceremony stone from last year.
Oh, yeah.
From the retreat. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Because I don't know, I got into a habit of, this turned out to making music about everything, rapping everything. If you were standing still, I might rap you, like just because, it what it did was it brought back a lot of fun into my life when there was not the possibility of fun, wonder, and joy.
Wow.
So take us back to your prayer, the simple prayer you said.
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like as I'm listening to you, it's like all of this came through the prayer.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny too, because, in working with other like holistic teachers and wellness coaches and everything, because I was all wrapped up in the, oh my God, my life right now, that we all had during the pandemic. Like, oh, what am I going to do? Which it was terrible. But my prayer, because I'm very direct with my prayers, is like, okay, thank you. Like what we did at the dinner table. Let's eat. Thank you, Lord. We're done. Amen. Like that. No. So my prayer, bringing my hands into Gasho, thumbs to my heart, is thank you for the opportunity to help someone. Show me where to go. And that was what I did with Bios and scanning. And that's what I noticed when I was literally walking around the halls whenever I was working. Because the first time that I just started saying yes, I got a contract for 4 weeks. That was the first time. And then on the third week, I noticed my hands were in Gasho and I was walking around the hallway. And I was like, okay, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to help someone. Now, it was more like, now show me where I'm going next week, but literally show me where I'm going. And my phone rang and I got sent out to Fort Worth from here in Dallas. It's a good drive, 45 minutes to an hour. I just said yes. Oh, the other thing that I forgot to tell you, I just said yes. And then that eventually turned into a full-time job, which was awesome. But then like about a year and a half later, as I'm working, my phone rang again. And it was for another job. And you know what? I said no. Because I was like, is it safe? Is it safe to go back out there? Is it safe? Well, I'm working with another one of my coaches and they're like, you said no? And I said, oh, I did say no. Maybe I should call him back. And you know what? I called him back. And it's the job I have now. And I love it because they support me in everything I do. I work for a local hospital 4 days a week. And it's fabulous. And then I get to teach Reiki on the weekends. They know I told them, I'm like, I have this, my own, Reiki practice. It's fantastic. And not only that, but they love that I'm a Reiki practitioner because I started working with cancer patients as well. I know.
Fabulous.
I know. Again, never would have thought that would have happened. Now, are they using me for a Reiki practitioner? Not yet, but they like the fact that I bring in our practices. I bring in our practices. I talk about grounding, and everything that we do. So, yeah, I've now been with this group. I do what's called, I provide outpatient services at people's houses. So for this group. So it has been fabulous. Yeah, I forgot that I was saying yes to the universe. And then all of a sudden it was like, you said no. Wait a minute. And yeah, I called him back and I was like, do you still have that job? Because it's in my neighborhood.
Wow.
I know. Before I was driving an hour to and from work.
Well, what I love about it too is that, so much Reiki is a path to our wellness and whatever that looks like for us. And so much we equate it to, and it's this too, of course, it's not just, but so much we equate it to health. We equate it to physical health. We equate it to emotional health. And obviously your stories about your music and your pendants and, your crystal work is also about your mental and emotional health.
Yes.
But your wellness was also about your bringing out that creativity that is within you. And,
yes.
And bringing out that more and more of that authentic self of you.
To have a more balanced life, more balanced wellness and being, to reduce stress, to actually be able to be present versus to be afraid and shielded from everyone else. We know scientifically that disease, what is it that Dr. Bruce Lipton will say, it's over 95% of diseases are related to stress, So anything, any health and wellness modality, but obviously Reiki is like completely changed my life, right? But anything that's going to bring about a parasympathetic state or a state of deep relaxation is absolutely critical, And that's, what we were all in. We were all in fight or flight, and we all can get in fight or flight easily driving down the freeway. But, it was turned up 110% with COVID.
And collective.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
That cloud.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So again, going back to your prayer and saying yes, it's also because your music is an opportunity to help someone show you where.
Yes.
Show you how. And as you were relating the different stories and the stories of the woman whose song you wrote for her nephew, and talking about the quantity of sounds in it, it felt so channeled, like that was probably his truth. Was the quantity of sounds running through him at any given time.
Yes. It was his full day, because he loved being outside. He worked outside, and his life was just taken too short. It was just, the other thing that I say about the channeling of the music for me is a way that the universe has tricked me into channeling and taken my logical brain out of the way.
Yeah.
I didn't understand how anybody could channel before, but now I do.
Yeah, same, Kris, that analytical piece of it. And even having the validation might not be the right word to say, but, having that piece of it with the channeling as well, where kind of need that, the hypothesis, answers to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I can't see it, feel it, touch it. In the beginning of learning how to do Reiki, I was like, I don't know if I believe it, but then I could see it, I could feel it, and I saw results. The same thing with the music. What I noticed, Colleen, during the gratitude ceremony, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is the gratitude ceremony. Oh my gosh. I was nervous.
I bet.
I was, but at the same time, it's you, it's Dawn. I love you both. If I just close my eyes, and that's what I did a few times, it's like, okay, Kris, just calm down, close your eyes, just listen. The melody's always there. So, and that's what I did a few times, because I didn't know what we were going to be playing. But thank God you told me the night before, because otherwise I would have been like, what are you playing?
What are you doing? I should share with you that gratitude ceremony was also one of the biggest teachings in my life and my Reiki practice. I was the first time I was offering it, and we were in New York in that particular retreat, and it was the big international retreat. And, I was really nervous about that. I'm going to be presenting this gratitude ceremony. And I was getting sick to my stomach. I was so nervous. And so I had sent Reiki to myself ahead of time. I was just suffering over the anxiety around this presentation. And Michael Baird had us drumming out under the moon. And so I was out there and I'm drumming away, and I'm just speaking of prayers, I'm like, something help me, because I'm suffering from this worry. And I don't usually hear actual voices. This time it was an actual voice. And I heard a voice coming in behind me, and it said, "It's not about you."
so great.
It's about you're just bringing gratitude to the people.
Yeah.
And that was, I still was, kind of running the energy and still, normal nervousness. But that had such a profound effect on really all my life, because, and particularly with Reiki and things where, things happen in real life, and they happen in real life with Reiki. And so that was a huge teaching for me. And it's not about you applies in so many ways. And that channeling that you're speaking of, it just gets you out of the way. And again, not to keep going back to your prayer, but I love the simplicity of it, because, show me the opportunity.
Yeah.
Help someone. Show me where.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, well, thank you.
The result of it with your music and your stones and,
I just started using my Reiki principles. I did a holy fire meditation every single morning at the hospital when I was working in the COVID halls. There's always a closet, for wound care people, because I'm a wound specialist. And so there's a million supplies in there. So I would sit in the closet, literally, there's lights on, and anybody can come in, but they wouldn't find you because I was behind all the ventilators, which is there's the ventilators, then there's all the wound care products. And I would just sit there and set a timer for 5 minutes. Thank you for the opportunity, and show me where to go. And I'm, because you have to know, before I started doing Reiki, all the beautiful prayers I would hear, and I'd be like, I don't know if I can do all that. And so that's the birth of my prayer. Thank you for this opportunity, and show me where to go. Amen. And that's, and then I'd sit with the Holy Fire Reiki, and that was the beginning. But I used my Reiki during COVID. Otherwise, I would end up in a very dark place.
Absolutely. And working with COVID patients at the time too. And I mean, even now, of course, but at the time there was, again, like you say, that really big collective stress, and unknown and unpredictable. And, the numbers were so constant. And of course, you being in the very real experience of it.
Yeah. Extreme sadness, extreme anger, and there was extreme love. You just had to look for it. What I told everybody is that we prayed all the way to work and we cried all the way home. And so there, for me, the gift of Reiki and the gift of being able to do these songs really restored my faith in humanity, restored my faith in myself, restored my faith in why am I doing all this? Why? Otherwise, I would have stayed home. Well, I had to work, but I would have figured it out. So,
Kris, you said that you play on Sunday mornings. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. What I do just about every Sunday when I'm not teaching, or if I don't have a Reiki session, because that happens every so often, but usually around Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, I will do a Reiki. It's more of a Reiki experience because it's just me on Facebook. And it lasts about 15 minutes. And what I'm doing is introducing myself. And then I'll introduce a song and we'll go into a Reiki experience. Usually I'll do a holy love or the ocean of holy love, just guiding everybody to a peaceful place. If you have Reiki, turn your Reiki on. Otherwise, invite love in. And I'll guide them there. I'll be quiet for 7 or 8 minutes, just letting the music flow. And what I'm doing is The original idea was I was going to have like a soundtrack in the background, and play my mandolin because I love playing my mandolin, but I can play piano too. So I did all those recordings, and now I have some that I don't have any mandolin. So I'll just play the mandolin with my own recording now. But that's what I do. Just about it. And then at the completion of it, I'll say again, who I am, my website, when the next class is, and then any other offerings like sessions, or if you like crystals or that kind of thing, but that has been a journey too. Woo! It's live. It is as you know, it is all live.
Yeah.
Learning how to turn off things in the house, like so the dryer alarm doesn't go off, or so that my dog doesn't bark at the UPS man, as you know.
So true. And so you do those on Facebook, and you also do it on TikTok?
I do it on Facebook primarily, and then I'll do a little because on TikTok you can do a 3-minute video. I'll usually do a 3-minute so that somebody can actually hear the song. I'll talk about that's usually about the song and what is coming up next.
Okay, awesome. And again, her Facebook is Kris Valentine Reiki Master, and then TikTok is Kris Valentine. So you can find those on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Central Time.
Yes.
And go and join out, just what she's talking about is just go and be in that flow of music and just take some time, an easy way for them to receive, for you to receive if you're listening to this.
Just to relax.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell everybody, come on, just relax.
Yeah.
You get that flow going, reduce those muscle spasms, try to reduce that mind chatter.
I want to actually spell your name again because Kris D could sound like Christy. And so it's Kris, Kris, D as in dog, Valentine, how you expect to spell it.
Yes.
Kris D Valentine. Just to clarify.
Thanks.
On my videos, you'll always hear me say Kris with a K, middle initial D as in David, Valentine.com.
So I just want to mention something else to you that maybe you're not aware of about you. You're a really good storyteller.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, that may be something else. Just listen around.
Uh-oh, Colleen. Uh-oh, Kris.
I know. I'm like, I don't know. And I've been hearing to say that to you for a little bit now. And it's like, finally, say it.
Okay.
Realize there's a bard aspect to how you tell your stories.
Yeah, I like to tell stories. That's probably evident. I tell everybody in my Reiki classes, okay, I do a PowerPoint presentation, and I'm like, the PowerPoint is the book. My stories are not in the PowerPoint because my stories are not in the book.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we've been talking about your music. I know you did come prepared with some examples. So let's go ahead and have you share.
Okay.
I want to hear, I know we have the one about the conversations. We talked about that story. We're going to play 2 though. And so is there a story to the other one that you're going to play?
So I'm really proud of this. The other one is called A Little Piece of Heaven. And I mean, this one's really about me. This is mine. And that's why I'm really proud of this one. I shared with Colleen and Robyn before we, really got going in the conversation about where I live. I live in this wonderful neighborhood in Dallas, and it's called Little Forest Hills. And it's kind of like the most eclectic neighborhood in Dallas. And we could talk about Dallas later, but regardless, this area is so beautiful. And I live right next door to a park. And when I was going out to find nature sounds in the middle of the pandemic, because, there weren't any airplanes for a while. It was just so still. And I would get up around 6:30 in the morning and I'd go do nature sounds, recording with my little handheld recorder. And so I feel like this park, these trees, and Reiki restored the sanity to my brain. So this is my little piece of heaven that I would go to for a Reiki meditation. So that's the first one. Robyn, if this is too loud, it might be in the beginning. I'll bring it down just a little bit. It's good. All right. Wherever you are, just sit back and relax and take a couple of deep breaths. Allow the Reiki energy to flow to you. Start bringing your awareness back. I'm going to just gradually bring this down. So that was a little piece of heaven. And that is all the voices of my neighborhood. Okay. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit here. Stay right where you are. The next song is the one called Conversations. And if you are someone that likes piano music, this song is definitely for you. Because some people just really just want piano. Oh, okay. Okay. That was Conversations. Let me go ahead and stop that too. There we go. And you'll notice, I don't know if you could, that was one of the songs that I recorded externally. Did you hear the background chiming clock? I don't know if you could.
I didn't hear it.
That's okay.
Colleen said she did. Yeah.
It's in the same key. That's why I was like, I'll keep it in there.
It's so fascinating how I'd listened to it a little bit, but how you said, then putting it in the context of the conversation, like, oh my gosh, you could hear it. Like that was visceral. And then the laughter together at that one piece, or that just like boom together. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. It has been a joy. I don't even, like some of the parts of that song I had before, but I never had the whole thing. I never had the whole thing until I applied Reiki to it.
So, Kris, also, is it my understanding that this music, these and other music is on your website, and that people can actually purchase it to use for their like YouTubes or meditations? How does that work?
So I tell everyone, this was born out of the fact that you had to have royalty-free music in social media. If there is a way to give me credit, then you can use it on the social media. You could also purchase your own song, and I can write one for you to use on social media. That is something that's offered through the website. You can definitely use these songs in your classes for sure. You could use them in your own Reiki classes. That was one of the one of my teachers, one of my coaches keeps telling me, get this to your teachers, get this to your teachers. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Get it to the students. So it's available for those kind of things. And if you have something that you need to be your very own on social media, I can write it for you, and you will have the rights to that music.
Okay. So if they are using it, say, as a background for a YouTube or something like that, then making sure they credit you appropriately.
Yes. And
are the songs there for purchasing?
Yes.
Okay.
They are. There's about 10 songs on my website for purchase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and then also, we haven't even talked about your Reiki classes. So,
oh yeah,
and your Reiki, I know that
and
part.
You're a practitioner too. So let's hear a little bit about that.
Tell us that part.
So my classes, I heard you were saying that, when the podcast comes out, I had to think about what am I doing in September and August. September, I know I'm probably okay. So my schedule's on my website. That's the first place to always go, rather than having me guess right now, because I know I'm teaching Reiki Master here in Dallas. I'm not totally clear on the date, but I know that if you go to my website, that is all there. And like I said, my website's my name, Kris with a K, middle initial D as in David, Valentine.com. As far as sessions, what I tell everyone, I do in person and at a distance sessions. All you need to do is contact me. You can contact me through my website and request a session. My schedule got so crazy for a while, in the fact that I'm working as well as a physical therapist, and I still do Reiki sessions. So primarily I do my Reiki sessions Fridays and Sundays. All you got to do is contact me, and we'll figure out all the rest of it from there.
So I looked it up. You have an upcoming Reiki 1 and 2 class, June 3rd and 4th.
Yes.
And those are in person. Your classes are in person in Dallas?
Yes. Oh, yeah. So I know in June I have, and I think it's June and July, I have Reiki 1 and 2. And those are in person. My advanced classes I do online as well. So the advanced Reiki Master and Karuna class. I have Karuna actually next weekend here. Probably the podcast will be out later, but
it's actually being released June 12th. So anything after June 12th.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Well, I'm doing Corona in May right now, like literally next weekend. And there will be another class in the future after that. So just check out the website. The advanced classes are on our hybrid classes, are the in-person and online. And then Reiki 1 and 2, I do in person at my office. I'm pointing north, like you know where north is, but north is over there. It's a town called Richardson, just north of Dallas. I have the wonderful opportunity of working with a crystal store called the Silver Pyramid. And we have this amazing store. And then next door, we have a very large room that's the educational area. So, which I also have, I am very blessed to have like a cubicle as my office that's in the middle of the educational center. So like I'm all around all kinds of crystals.
I love that.
Yes.
That's so great.
Well, and I have to mention Taz.
Yes.
Because seriously, every time Taz is her little dog, her little rescue dog. And when she first started posting about him, I was like, oh my gosh, that face. He has such a great face. And every time I see him, I just think, oh, I love him.
Hang on.
He is so cute.
I can go get
so
him.
Cute.
I'll show you. That's a picture of him right
There's
there.
a picture of him.
And you post them to your Facebook. So
yeah.
to go and friend Kris, and you will among many gifts that you will be a part of from Kris's Facebook. She posts pictures of Taz.
He does. I truly, it's like, it's one of those moments of, just joy every time I see him. And I feel like I'm always commenting on your thing. It's like, oh, that face. But I sincerely mean it. Like, oh, that face. It's just so great.
He's awesome. He is such a chill dog. I mean, I tell everybody I loved my previous dogs, but you know how you feel like you have to go through a dog that's kind of a terror child to get to the dog that's like, you were so good. How did that happen? Yeah.
I'm currently there, Kris. I have a terror child after 2 wonderful dogs.
Yes. He's so chilled. He's so chilled. But yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He was one of my patients. He was actually.
No, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you this story quickly, because I know we've been talking for a while, but I had a fantastic job where I used to do physical therapy with animals. And Taz will lose his mind when he sees a cat or a squirrel. He still does it. And probably what happened, because I didn't know him then, was he got hit by a car, and he ended up in a rescue after that moment, had his hip fixed. And then I met him as his physical therapist. And he was such a good dog that, I was lucky enough to adopt him.
So fun.
Yeah.
Well, he is a little terrier or something. So the cat and the squirrel thing, that's just a given.
Yes. Just his temperament. He's like, oh my gosh, I must go get them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not very much, he's not very much bigger than they are. He's only about 20 pounds.
He's probably not really fast enough for them.
He's bigger than them in spirit.
Yes.
Maybe not some cats, but definitely.
Exactly.
That's so amazing. Well, Kris, thank you so much. And thank you for sharing your gifts to the world. Is really the biggest thing with all of your many gifts between physical therapy and Reiki and your music and your crystals and Taz and all of the other things that we talked about today. And I know the myriad of other things that you also do in your Reiki and all of that. Again, you can find Kris at KrisDValentine.com. And then definitely go check out her Facebook. Those Sunday morning lives are really great. And her other socials also, TikTok and Instagram, where she's under Kris D. Valentine.
Thank you. Thank you so much, y'all. That was so much fun.
Oh, this was really fun.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. And that music was wonderful. Thank you so much for bringing that and sharing that with us and our listeners today too.
Yeah.
And for sharing about your prayer and saying yes, because that is such an important message to, listen to what you're asking for, whether it's something, your exact prayer or a different prayer, and just to listen for that and then say yes when it shows up.
Yeah.
Through your fear.
We all forget about these things. Like I forget about it. I will forget about it. And then it was like, oh yeah, that thing I did, there's, in our Reiki master manuals, it's like around page 11 or something. It's right in the beginning. It's like the big experiment or something. It's like the bottom right paragraph. And I remember reading that going, oh, I'm so afraid of doing that. When I read the Reiki master manual again, it was the big experiment of something. It was something like that, of trusting in the universe. And I thought, I don't think I could ever do that. Well, here came the pandemic, and it's like, well, there's no better time than now. So
I think many people have some of those kinds of stories with the pandemic.
Yeah.
And, upon reflection and retrospect, probably as the years go by, looking back at it all, still the part of shrugging our shoulders, still the part of gratitude, still the part of challenge, still the part of the blessings in the middle of it. It's a really interesting reflection.
It is. And for me, remember to trust. Remember to use those Reiki ideals. Remember those things that open the doors really to the miraculous.
Yeah.
Well, you really did. And thank you for sharing that message, because that's a big message at any time in our life, regardless of the circumstance. It's, that listening for what, and I was like you, I definitely did not know how to pray. I was totally skeptical about Reiki. And I went into the prayers from Marianne Williamson's book, Illuminata. And that was where I would write them down and read them, because I just probably also didn't know how to be concise like yours are, so I was writing down and then, so
5 pages later,
5 pages later,
people sitting through prayers for 40 minutes.
Like, can we sit down yet?
Yes, I know. Well, I learned from Karen Harrison. But at the same time, for me, I'm not sure. First, there's always I sound stupid. I know I do. I sound stupid. What else should I say? Okay, we're done. I'm in, so, and that's
totally right. Yeah, I had to read mine for years. I wrote them down and read them because I was raised Catholic, and we learned our prayers. We didn't say, we didn't just like channel our prayers. And so, for me, it was like, and then the terror of saying them out loud in front of people was like, so praying to like, can I please say it? And then it's not about you.
Yes, exactly. Right. That's so funny. I totally get that. It's like, okay, I'm in. We're done.
Yeah. I love it. Prayers on the fly.
Exactly.
Well, Kris, again, thank you. KrisDValentine.com on all the social media and everything. And just thank you so much. And Robyn and I, you can always find us on Reiki Lifestyle. And my social is Reiki Lifestyle. Robyn's is Robyn. Hi, Robyn.
Robyn Benelli Reiki.
I butcher it every time.
That's all right.
I should be able to remember that.
It's a pretty easy one.
Robyn Benelli Reiki.
Considering it's the same last name as yours. I'm your daughter. It's awesome. I love it. It's good to have a laugh too.
I claim right brain.
Totally.
Unlike you, both of you with left brains, I claim right brain.
It's wonderful.
Love it. Awesome. Well, once again, thank you so much. And thank you everybody for listening and joining. And, we are just so appreciative of our community. And so thank you, all of you who are listening. As we always know, it's a divinely ordered circle. So thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.